Hi everyone, welcome to episode 31 of YarnAdelaide Knits, a podcast based in Adelaide, South Australia, Australia, about hand knitting and other knitting and fibre related crafts. Welcome everyone. It's just gone 1 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. What's that make it? Thursday the 15th of June. Welcome to all my returning viewers. Thanks for stopping by again, and if you're new, also welcome. Thanks for finding me. I hope you like what you see. In today's episode, I have a few finished objects. I have 3, but I've only got one and a mock one to show you as all 3 of them were gifts. So yeah, but I've only got one here to show you. I'll elaborate on that when I get to it. And I've got a bit of info about a craft fair that I'm doing next month in Adelaide, and I've got a couple of works in progress. I've got a kind of a secret work in progress going, but which is more a design thing that I'm doing. So yeah, I'll sort of allude to that and show you what I can. I kind of think I'll keep that one secret this time until I'm ready to release it, shall I say. So yeah, my name's Nicole. You can find me as Colagirl on Ravelry and Instagram as Colagirl74, at Colagirl74 on Twitter, and I also have an Etsy shop where I sell hand-dyed yarns and stitch markers and project bags and a little bit of fibre. Started getting into that and dyeing that up as well. I've got a new contraption for self-striping yarn that my father-in-law made for me, which I'm really stoked about. Hopefully I can get it in the shot and see and show you guys. I have put photos up on Instagram of it. But yeah, it's kind of sitting up pretty, you can't even see it in the shot. It's, yeah, sitting on the table at the moment, so I'm not sure how far my editing skills will take me if I was to do a separate video and slot it in around here or when I talk about it, so see how we go. I think, no spinning to talk to you or show you because I haven't done any for a little while now. I think I've had a couple of things like come to me to get done in desperate quick succession because it's been cold here. It's not too bad today. It's quite overcast, so the warmth has stayed in, so it's not that bitterly coldness. So yeah, what I'm wearing today, this one is many years old. It's from a Vogue knitting magazine. I just looked it up. It's the number 31 Lane by Kristen Tendyke. It was on the front cover of the Vogue Knitting Holiday Edition in 2006. It's a basic sort of kind of I-cord, and then it's plaited, so you've knitted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate I-cords. I know I did these with double pointed needles because there's roughly about, let's say, 8 to 10 stitches on each cord, and it's done in the round, and you basically knit them to a certain length, and then is that the cast on one? Yes, that's the cast on one. So yeah, you sort of knit this and then knit these 6 different strands separately and then weave them at the end. So it's been well worn. I did this in what's the one? In the Zara yarn, which is, I can't even pronounce it. It's an Italian yarn. Futura de Casa or something like that. De Corsa? Something like that. Yeah. Zara is a lovely yarn. It's one of those nice well-rounded merino yarns that gives really nice stitch definition, is nice and soft. It used to be one of those fancy yarns before, you know, the one that you'd go to. Now it's kind of fairly common. But yeah, and it comes in lots of different colours. So yeah, I've knit that one. I remember this one I used to take to my knitting groups because it was quite, when knitting all the I cords, it was quite a mindless knit. So it's something that you could easily do out in public and what have you. Speaking of that, did anybody do anything for Knit in Public Day on Saturday? I didn't. I kind of figured that I knit in public up to 4 times a week, or go to different knitting groups and what have you, which are a couple of them are in public places. So I figure I do something each week for knitting in public. But I was thinking maybe next year, weather permitting, I might organise something, because there wasn't many things organised for Knit in Public Day in Adelaide. But recently I've discovered Anstey's Hill, which is local to where I live, and it's a what is it? It's a conservation park. Conservation? It's a conservation park. I can't even find the right words for it. That is local to my area, that has lots of different walking trails, and in where we went, it's behind the Fox and Firkin hotel or pub that we supply with our fruit and veg business. Yeah, and it's got a nice big lawned area where you can have picnics and barbecues. I'm not sure about the barbecues, but you can have picnics. Yeah, or you can go off and do walking trails. A lot of people will take their dogs for walks, and slightly undulated, a bit hilly and what have you. And if you go early enough in the morning, you can count how many koalas and kangaroos you see. So that can be quite fun and interesting. But yeah, it was the first time I'd ever been there. I've lived in this area since '97. Yeah, but I've never been up there. And there are a few different, it's quite a big area, and there's a few different parks. I'm pointing over there because that's basically where it is, just over there, about 7 kilometres, 5-7 kilometres. And yeah, so yeah, I was thinking maybe organising a knitting public picnic for next year, weather permitting, being that it's in the beginning of June. I think it's basically on the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere's day, which this year was on the 12th of June. Next year it'll probably be over the weekend of the 13th and 14th. But yeah, and have a picnic, and everybody can come and sit and knit in public. It's quite, you know, lots of people. There's lots of parking and what have you there. So if, yeah, organise something, and if the weather's not permitting, we can all go have coffees at the pub. Which there's the little British Fox and Firkin pub on one side of the road, and then there's the Teacher Gully Hotel on the other side of the road. So either way, you can we'll go in there for coffee and still knit in public. Having a cup of coffee that time of the afternoon. So I've got a few things, a few FOs to show you. I did 2 pairs of gloves. One was for Silas, my eldest son, and the other one was for my husband. He desperately wanted a pair of gloves because it had been bitterly cold, because he's just started working at, again, for a wholesaler at the Adelaide produce markets. So he's has 1 and 2 o'clock starts a few mornings a week. So yeah, his hands have been cold, so I whipped these up pretty quickly, and I slightly made longer fingers for him because he wanted full length gloves, but he doesn't have very good dexterity with if they were full length. So he he's asleep at the moment. I thought I just heard him. Heard footsteps, and the dog's outside curled up in her beanbag. Anyway, yeah, so these are the Koju fingerless mitts by Asante. I didn't write it down because I thought I'd remember. Fingerless gloves. It'll be in previous notes. Yeah, they're a free pattern on Ravelry. Yeah, if you looked up fingerless mitts, you'd find them. They are ladies' sizes. There's a small and a large. And I did the small size for Silas in black. He's got his at school at the moment because he walks to school and it's a few kilometres walk. So he gets a bit cold and he wants the gloves in the morning. And then he got them last Monday for his birthday. Was it last Monday? On the 5th. And he couldn't find them this week. So yeah, so I was like, I'm not making another pair, but they were in his school bag. And so he found them this morning again. So yeah, which was good. They're pretty easy to knit up, and because my husband's got size 12 feet and big hands, the large size was cast on 64 stitch, but with 2mm needles and 2.5mm needles. So for Justin I did 2.25mm needles for the cuff, and then for the hand I did up to 2.75mm needles on the larger size, and that made a large enough size. The yarn I used for these ones are the Dreamtime Merino baby yarn by Paintons. I'm pretty sure Paintons. And with Silas's, his was black in Bendigo Woolen Mills 4-ply luxury. So yeah, I had to get these pretty much whipped up pretty quickly. I think I did one glove in a few days, and then I had I got the second glove done in another 2 days. And I think it was a day that I was given the permission to sit down and knit because he wanted his gloves for market that morning. So I ended up staying. He went off to bed, and I stayed up and finished the fingers. He told me I had to stay up and knit and finish off his gloves for him. So yeah. And I made Elijah a pair last year, and he thoroughly enjoys them. So that's those ones, the 2 pairs of gloves. And my husband's been wearing my willow cowl that I made him at market, and being that it's been very cold, one of his bosses wanted a cowl, wanted me to, and because she asked where it's from, or where do you get it from, and he said that I made it. So I ended up making her, she wanted a plain one like in a black or a grey, and I've already given it to her, but I ended up making her the Cowl by Meg Gatsby, which is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. It's done in an 8-ply yarn. This is the one that I'm test knit for her and made. So yeah, unfortunately I don't wear cowls too often because I'm not out in the elements for sporting, or don't go for early morning walks or anything like that very often. The bed seduces me in the middle of winter and makes me stay in there and keep warm. Yeah. So I made her one of these, but I made her in this yarn. This yarn, I recycled it. It is Joe Sharp's Silk Road. I think it's her Silk Road Aran, and I can't even remember what the colour way's called. It's a grey. So that's wool silk with a bit of cashmere in it, and does it have a microfiber, or is that the Debbie Bliss Cashmerino that has that? So yeah, so it's nice and soft, and yeah, made her one of those, and that only took a couple of days to do. yeah, another finished project that I have done, well, you've seen it finished, but I've blocked it, finally blocked it, is the Fern Shawl by Shara Lambeth. It's a brioche shawl. And I did this in my yarn in the Colagirl Collective Drover sock. The purple colour is called Muck, and then the orangey colour is a speckled dyed apricot colour with purples and yellows and reds. In it is my animal colourway. So it reminded me, when I looked at it, the colourway reminded me of Animal from the Muppets. So yeah, that one's finally finished and blocked and ready to wear now. It's another shawl to put in the repertoire and see how we go. So yeah, they're all my finished objects. I have been, what have I been doing? I've been working on a couple of designs. And this is not giving too much away, I guess. I'm working on another beanie design, and it's more a beanie design for sock scraps. There's a pattern, stitch pattern that I did in a shawl that I made previously that I like to incorporate. Kind of, it's a bit like stranded, sort of a bit stranded colourwork, I think, where it uses two colours and it has slip stitches in one row and then in one colour and then knit back in another. So I kind of liked how that gave interest to the different colourways that you're using, so I'm going to incorporate that with some sock minis to finish off this, but I really liked the red as the brim for myself. So that's that one. And I've only done the brim. It's going to have a nice big brim that you can either fold or leave flat to make it a bit slouchy. What am I using on that one? 3mm needles, I think, so far. But still got to probably do at least another inch on the brim before I start doing the pattern. So hopefully the next podcast I'll have some progress on that. And then I've made a little bit more progress on my Possum Ridge, which is by, it's also known as Dandelion Girl, which is Melissa Sashwary, which is that pattern there. The lace pattern on the front is really nice, and I chose to do that in the round. It's a bottom-up jumper that you can either do in pieces or in the round, and I chose to do in the round because seaming is not a passion of mine, shall I say. I do it and I don't mind doing it when I do it, but I don't like to have to do it. Don't like, yeah. So yeah, and that's how far I've got. I think I'm almost at starting to divide for the armholes. But I like my jumpers long and I like my jumpers to be cosy, so I'm a little bit apprehensive to the length that it's going to be once I get to that part, because it does want you to do 2.5 lace pattern repeats to then before you divide for the armholes, and I'm worried if I sort of fudge it too much I'm going to lose my way and have to rework it too much, and it'll do my head in, rather than just doing as you're told and following what the pattern says, and like taking that that angst out of it, and so you still want to enjoy making it rather than having to rework it and just making your brain explode with trying to rework the math. So yeah, hopefully that will be, you look at the picture and it's not too short and it's not too long. It might be the Goldilocks length once I get up to that part. Who knows? And then there's the other design that I want to sort of that'll be right. Other design that I'm doing, it's going to be a lace wrap, a lace weight wrap done in my Tilly merino silk yarn. Now this colourway I didn't name as I had a problem. It had red splotches in it from undissolved dye that was in the bath, in the dye bath when I dyed it up. And I didn't think it was acceptable to sell it if it had those red splotches in it, because it's ideally supposed to be a plummy tonal colourway. So I thought, well, I'll knit it up and see how it goes. And it's knitting up alright actually. The red undyed parts aren't too bad. Some of them look a bit redder than others, but it basically looks like darker pigments of the plum colourway. So yeah, and that's just going to be a long sort of scarf wrap with mock cables. So if you like knitting with lace weight yarn, stay tuned. I think that's about it that I've been working on. I have a little bit of news of the sewing about a I'm going to be selling my yarn at another craft fair, and that will be the Sewing, Stitching and Handcraft show, at the Adelaide Showgrounds on the 14th to the 16th of July. I will be helping out the girls from Yarnarama, and they've let me sell my yarn there as well over the weekend, which is pretty awesome. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun selling what they sell, and hopefully I'll sell a few skeins of my yarn as well. So that will be in the Goiter Pavilion at the Royal Adelaide Showgrounds at Wayville from the 14th to the 16th of July. So the Sewing, Stitches and Handcraft show. I know the Hand Knitters Guild will be there as well, and a lot of the other guilds, and it's it's a craft fair that a lot of the guilds are allowed to sell their bits and pieces. So I will have hand knitted garments for sale at the Hand Knitters Guild stall as well as there will be other hand knits for sale there too. I know we've got a couple of ladies that do a lot of the hand knit toys, so yeah, which are quite cute. So yeah, and that craft fair is cheap in comparison to other craft and quilt fairs for entries. It's only $10 entry, as opposed to I think the quilt fair, which is later on in the year, is about $16, $17 entry, and $8 for pensioners. It opens at 10 to 5 p.m, so it opens at 10 a.m. and goes until 5 p.m. from the 14th to the 16th. So yeah, so I need to get dyeing. Speaking of which, I don't know whether you guys can see this very well. Excuse me. My husband's father, so my father-in-law, made me a warping mill. I suppose you can't, there you go, probably see it a bit better there. I borrowed a Ashford warping mill from my friend Sarah, from one of the girls from Yarnarama. She hand dyes yarn as well. She's also known as Sheepish by Sarah. And yeah, and she's loaned me the warping mill of hers, which is an Ashford one. And I showed it to my father-in-law and I said, do you reckon you can make this? He's retired and does a bit of woodworking and metalworking to keep himself entertained. And yeah, and he took measurements of it and got some Meranti wood and did bits and pieces, and yeah, so it was awesome. It saved me about $235. So yeah, I'm in the process of trying to talk him into going into production. But yeah, I haven't used it yet. I need to order some more yarn to start dyeing up for the craft fair. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It looks like it'll work a treat too. Next, I didn't want him... I wanted to play around with the warping mill that Sarah lent me to see whether I got along with it, and I seemed to, and I managed to dye up a couple of skeins of self-striping yarn, which I sold in quick succession because it was just before the open day at the guild. But I used the base that I used, my Walker base, I don't have any stock of, and to get more stock of that stuff, the postage is quite expensive as opposed to getting it from another mill. And I was only originally going to just use the self-striping, do the self-striping socks on one particular base, and then I thought, well, that's kind of a bit restrictive on my part and a bit silly. Why don't I just do it on all my sock bases and people can pick and choose what they want from there. So the other mill that I get my yarn from, the postage is like a quarter of the price, which is, it's a bit bizarre. So yeah, postage is a killer. So so I can get reasonable prices, I need to order 5 kilograms of yarn. So I think I'm just going to opt for the cheaper postage mill, which still do, the yarn bases that I get are still gorgeous and I'm very happy with, and they are Australian. They use Australian merino, so I've got to love that too. But there's 2 sock yarns that I get, they're out of stock of at the moment. So yeah, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I'm sort of waiting patiently for them to have their stock back, as my sock yarn stock is very low at the moment, and my 8-ply as well, so I need to order more so I can get in the dye pots again. I think that's pretty much about it. I'm not sure whether I've got anything else to tell you. Yeah, I don't have an update for Colagirl Collective. I have to show you, but I've showed you everything that I did in the last podcast, and they're all in the shop now. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty much done. So, there's a short, sharp and shiny podcast. I'm thinking about, girls don't know, but I might wrangle down the girls from Yarnarama and do a bit of a podcast interview with them. And yeah, and that way you guys can get a little bit of background information of who they are and where they're from and what they're doing. I bet she knows. So yeah, that is still to come. And I did want to do some interviews and what have you of some other indie dyers around the place. I am, speaking of indie dyers and craft fairs and what have you, I am sort of looking perhaps at going to some markets regularly. I suppose I've got the craft fair next month, and then I've got Mount Pleasant, the Coloured Sheep and Fibre Festival in August, and yeah, and that's it so far. But I'll look at doing other markets. It's kind of hard, and not hard, but it's kind of have to think logically being that knitting is a what's the word? I can't find my words today. It's an area, not everybody knits, so you kind of have to find your market and where you want to sell your stuff to be worthwhile. So yeah, going to craft fairs, yes, it's a tailored market, and open days, the Guild and Mount Pleasant, they're tailored markets. But other than that, it would be a little bit harder, but then you want to open up to the wider community too. So yeah, it's I'm gonna have to feel my way and find out, get more information before I delve into that too heavily. Anyway, I hope everybody's well and they're not freezing their butt off in the southern hemisphere winter, and then it's not heating up too much in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, I guess I'll talk to you guys in a fortnight. Enjoy your knitting, guys. See ya.